Okay, so here we are, viewing feedback this morning on the Fife Property Show, using negative buyer comments to boost your home's saleability. I'll say that again, actually. Using negative buyer comments to boost your home's saleability. But you never thought you could do that. You've been on the market for a while, actually, followed by agents' advice on actually price, and had plenty of viewings. But nothing ever comes of it. So where do you go from here? It can be a frustrating experience when all you want is to get your move underway. And here's where feedback from viewings really comes into its own. There's always a story when a home doesn't sell and when your agent updates you after every viewing in a weekly recap. The comments from the buyers are often due a real clue to the way that it really is right now. So most of the common reasons why viewings don't turn into offers are location isn't right. There's too much clutter. The rooms are too small. It feels dark. There's too much work to do. Does this sound familiar, Richard?
They're all up here. Yeah, definitely.
Definitely sounds familiar every single time. I hear these all the time as objections, but really they're just objections. They're there to be handled by a skilled estate agent. Hence the reason sometimes why you should not be doing the viewings yourself. And you shouldn't be using someone that just opens a door and lets someone in. There has to be a skill about this. And ideally, it has to be the estate agents actually doing the viewings. The people that actually know and do this day in, day out, rather than just a part-time person that opens a door and says, on you go. And then you ask them a question, and the first thing they say is, well, you'll have to phone the office on Monday because I have no idea about that. I just open it up and let you see it.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a familiar story.
We delved into this a wee bit the other day when we were doing talking about viewings and the actual structure of the viewing and how, depending on the time of year and how you guide the tenants through and where you finish up, and there's a lot involved in it. And people just think, oh, you're opening the door and letting people have a look around. So there's a lot more to it.
Is that not what we're doing then? No, of course it's not. We're there to maneuver a buyer down the particular path in order to potentially get an offer out of them, because we've already qualified them on the phone, so we know exactly what they're looking for, and we know this probably is the right property for them. They sometimes just don't know it yet that this is the right property for them when we're taking them round. And that's why you have a skilled estate agent doing that and not just anybody. And that's potentially why you do not do it yourself. Listen, at what point have you actually been appointed as a skilled negotiator? What training have you done to be a skilled negotiator? What training have you done to show people around the house? Trust me, it does take skill and expertise to do that. And often the estate agent, because I'll be honest, the fees are far too low. They cannot afford to do the viewings for you, but you could lose thousands in the end result because you're not a skilled negotiator.
And a lot of people have that approach where, I've done viewings in the past, I've sold lots of properties over the years, I've done the viewings and it's always sold. But what was the sale price? Did you get that?
And I bet you if I went back to every single one of their buyers and asked them, would you have paid more for that property that you're just in it, they sold you? The answer would have been yes, more than likely. And that tells you straight away that whoever it is that's done the viewing or negotiation has left the money on the table. And that's what they're meant to be paid for. That's what you're paying an estate agent for, the skill and expertise. You're using them for a proper digital marketing strategy and skill and expertise in negotiating at the end for you. Because you can't do it. You're not front on with it. And plus the fact, more than likely, most people don't have that skill, or they'll all be super successful and wealthy, extremely wealthy if you're a fantastic negotiator. This is the first one, Richard, to talk about. Location isn't right. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, location can mean a different thing for different buyers and things. And one thing you can't do with your home is change where it is. You can't change the location. So if it doesn't suit one person, it might suit another. However, all is not lost with your location, and the if it is the source of the negative feedback, you still have a number of options to look at. And that could be, obviously, if your agent is your agent targeting the right people.
Yeah.
We say it all the time, Jim. Is your agent putting your property in front of the right buyers for
I
your
genuinely
property?
think most, Richard, I think most just actually put it on Rightmove and Zoopla and fingers crossed and hope for the best.
Well, it's like we say, it's taking a few photos on their phone and sticking it on Rightmove. Anybody could do that.
Yeah, my cat could do that if I trained it.
Yeah.
And possibly it has.
Cat's done a lot in the last year. In fact, since lockdown, I think your cat's done quite a lot. But anyway.
Here's how to handle objection straight away, though. This is important. Here's how to handle the objection straight away if somebody says the location isn't right. Yeah. This is where everybody starts to lean in and listen. The location isn't right. Okay. Apart from the location, if it wasn't anything to do with the location at all, would you make an offer on the house? And if the answer is yes, you know it's the location. But often it reveals another objection that comes at the back of it. So the location isn't really the right objection in the first place. It's not the real objection. So objection handling is like peeling an onion. You just consistently ask the questions in order to do that, to get to the core of the issue, which is the final one. And the final one that they say as the objection, and they say, yes, I would buy it if it wasn't for that, then that is the real objection you've got to handle. And sometimes that could be handled quite easily. Okay, we'll just rectify the damp proofing then. Okay, we'll just rectify the wood borer infestation. We'll get it sprayed for you and get you a guarantee for it. Okay, we'll give you an underwriting insurance policy because the border on the title maybe is different. So we'll pay for the underwriting insurance policy, so you're covered for that. That's how you take objections away from people in a cost-effective way and get them to buy the house.
Yeah.
What other things do we need to think about, Richard?
Well, as we're talking about, if you're thinking about as your agent targeting the right people, then you really need to think about, what did you originally buy the property for? Do you know what was the reasons that jumped out at you, and are these reasons do they form a relevant part of your listing? Are they in the description, your photos? Do they talk it up in the video? Do you know if it's an amazing view? Is it really capitalized in your listing? Are they pointing? Do you know? So that's what.
Yeah, it's the first thing I ask when I go in to see someone. Why am I here? Is the first question, and then what did you see in the property when you first bought it? Because that's what the next person will see in the property as well, because they're starting off for the first time as well. So they'll see everything you saw in the beginning. So it's key to get that message across. Everything you loved about the property when you bought it, not now, by the way, because you might not like it now. It might not be appropriate for you anymore, this property. It might hold bad memories. It might hold good memories. But it's what you saw in the first place will attract the next person, because you've now all grown up and your family's grown up as well. So you don't need it for that purpose. So the purpose that you bought it for in the beginning is often the purpose of the person that will go on to buy it again.
Yeah.
Anything else we need to think about?
Yeah. Also, a location, busy roads is one. And if you're located on a busy road,
yeah,
you've already got double glazing. What could you add to that? How could you make that obviously not such a negative point of your location? Because
double glazing.
Yeah, double glazing.
No, but I've seen it. Double glazing.
Oh, double glazing.
Yeah. Right, okay. So they've had double glazing, and the sill's been deep enough. They put another double glazing unit inside on the sill, and it was the only way it could be solved. I tell you what, but it did it no bother, and it sold the house.
A complete buffer for the sound.
Yeah.
You could also look at things like you could have plants and things to kind of screen out a busy road, but also look at your curb appeal from the other side. Do you know, you could look at your garden and things and make that so inviting that it maybe takes away for the fact that the back of its back's on a main road or something. Do you know? Think about those things.
I'm always amazed at how many people actually don't. What they're doing here is that they actually allow they leave their windows open. Now, leaving your windows open is not the thing to do when you're next to a main road. But often when somebody has an objection about a main road, then you could open your window, let them hear the noise, and then when you go to close it again, it's like night and day. It points out straight away how effective that is. And it often changes somebody's mind and just pivots them a wee bit more and makes the experience a bit more positive.
Yeah, Andrea's in the comments saying when you live on a busy road, you actually don't hear it after a few weeks. And I know Andrea you lived on a busy road for a lot of years. So that's obviously speaking for experience. So. But also think about your concern. I mean, the concerns of the buyers, do they really match up with the reality of actually living in the home? And if not, ask the agent to add your experiences and how your enjoyment of your daily life into their marketing and their marketing strategy to paint that positive picture of the property.
Yeah. Good point, actually, a really good point. So what other things do you think we should be thinking about then?
I think really, if you can't overcome the location objections, it can be that people maybe expect more for their money
Yeah.
at the price that you're asking. So if so, finding a new audience maybe in the lower price band may be the right next step. But obviously that's on an individual basis, but it possibly can be the solution when it comes to location.
Okay. So you were saying that the concerns of the buyers match the reality of living in your home. If not, ask your agent to add your experiences and enjoyment. Yeah, it's a good point, actually. Yeah, that is a valid point.
Concentrate on the positive as opposed to the negative.
It's easy. I tell you what, it's easy for someone to get actually locked into that mentality of, you know, it's there's something always negative about the property.
Yeah.
But what you don't realize is exactly what you said, Richard. It could be easily spun around and the objection handled as a result of that. So
If you can make the positives shine, they'll outshine the negative.
You have then got to ask as well, though, as if the location isn't right to someone, and this is the reasons why, then you've got to then say to yourself, it's like, what are you actually doing in the advertising? It's pointing out that it's different there.
Yeah.
You know, there's a mismatch there because they're coming round because they see what you're saying, but then when they get round there, they're saying that's not right for them. So there's no correlation between the two of them. There's no relationship between these messages. So there's a mixed message. So often, I've seen it. It's how sneaky some people are. They actually miss things out. Like, take the photograph a bit closer because there's a petrol station next door to the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, by the way, is a misdescription.
I'm just going to say that'll fall into misdescriptions.
Yeah, and that'll annoy a lot of people actually when they turn up, and it'll also annoy the seller as well because the fact is you've got all these people turning up and then all of a sudden saying, "Well, the petrol station's next door." The reality is you're better to be honest about it up front, so you're not wasting everybody's time as a result of that, especially the seller and especially the buyer, because people get frustrated for that reason. So yes. You can handle objections by doing the things that I said. Sorry, Richard, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say a lack of transparency in your listing and how you advertise and things. It just kind of puts you in the back foot because you're going to have people through the door and wasting everybody's time.
Yeah, so you can still overcome location objections. It could be that people are expecting more for their money, though.
Yeah.
And the new audience, lower price bands is probably the right next step, which is and you say lower price bands, but we talk about realignment quite a lot, don't we?
Yeah. And
especially in a market where you're challenged and you've got a lot more people chasing, a lot less people chasing the property, but the property's on the market and an oversaturation of properties on the market. And a classic example right now is round about the northeast Fife. Northeast Fife is actually quite a long time to sell now, anything between 4 and 6 months on average, because there's a huge amount of property on the market and there's higher price points as well in comparison to the central Fife and West Fife, which are a lower price point, but they go a lot quicker because there's more people chasing just the same amount of properties as a result of that. So they're all things to think about. But what would then be the next point then it would want to cover? The clutter. Is it really a problem having clutter? Too much clutter?
If there's too much clutter, I mean, obviously people live in their homes and there's going to be stuff but I've seen quite a lot of properties over the years that are packed full of clutter, and mess makes homes really more challenging to sell. If it can't be edited out from photos and things, then which stifles the numbers of inquiries that are coming through. Do you know what I mean? And it undermines viewings because buyers can't see what they're actually getting. They can't see the full potential of a room or of a space if it's really cluttered. So it's really worth tackling it head on and you could begin with a few simple principles just to kind of have that clearance of clutter. Create space on surfaces and shelves. Kitchens, I've seen cluttered kitchen worktops. It's awful. And it's awful in pictures and listings, and it's not nice to walk into either.
Yeah.
Let them breathe by turning a jumble of knickknacks and things into a conscious display. If it's a work surface or if it's shelving or whatever, just put some of your nice favourite things out on display and clear all the clutter away, and it will make all the difference for your listing picture and for that impression when you're doing viewings.
Okay. What other things do we need to think about then?
Bedrooms and things, piles of stuff really make a room look smaller. And if you've got a reasonably sized double room, but you've got it packed full of stuff, it's really going to close that in.
Get in the wardrobe.
Yeah, get your clothes, put them in the wardrobes, books up on shelves, papers. If you've got a desk and things in a spare room, put them all away. Put them in your file, and everything off the floor that doesn't belong there.
It's maybe the opportunity actually just to do an exercise on decluttering. Now we've got the 4 ways to declutter in our blog below. So you can click on that on the article itself. You know, if you click on the main article, you'll see it in the actual description or the script that we've got there. And you can read that. It's 4 minutes to do that. But we often add a bit of value to this by doing a bit extra and talking about our own personal experiences and that. But the thing I would say, the best ideal if you've got too much clutter is actually just take the 3 bins that you've got and just say, look, it's going out, it's getting chucked out or given away. I'm thinking about keeping it, but I'm not very sure about whether I should get rid of it. And the next one is, yeah, we're definitely keeping it. So take all your clutter and start to put it in each bin as you go. And then eventually what you'll find is the stuff you're chucking out is full. Get rid of that. Leave it empty, start again. Keep the stuff you're keeping, and the one in the middle that you're not sure about getting rid of or keeping that's the one you then start on again and actually just put them in the different bins about are you definitely keeping it or are you actually definitely getting rid of it. And eventually you'll come down to the point of you more or less got complete efficiency in your clutter. That doesn't make sense, does it? Complete efficiency in your clutter.
That'll sit well with you, Jim, to have that kind of weird. But do you know as well, after you've got lots of stuff and you're actually toying with, do I need to keep it? Do I need to get rid of it? You obviously don't use it that much. Sell it. Do you know, we could sell things online, or do you know, and make a wee bit of money from stuff that you really don't use anymore. Sell, donate, remove. There you go.
That's a really good point. Hide it in a loft or at a friend's, or we've got one round the corner where they've got the stuff in their friend's garage. So all the stuff to make it all nice and neat and tidy and all the rest of it, because it's stuff that's personal to them. It's not going to left with the property. So in order for that short term, you know, what is effectively maybe a couple of months to do the viewings and get an offer, which is average just now in Fife, then it makes sense actually just to do that or just put it in storage at that point in time. I mean, a lot of stuff. I don't know about you, but I go to some cupboards and think to myself, I don't think I've been in here in the last 10 years.
Yeah. Do you know, I laugh as well.
Then I look at all the stuff that's sitting about and I think, why have I got all this stuff still?
I laugh because when I do walk rounds with people, when I go to meet them, and every time we'll get to that cupboard, and this might not resonate with you, Jim, but maybe us millennials as well, but a Monaco cupboard. Do you know what a Monaco cupboard is?
Not a clue.
A lot of people, and every time I see it, people know what I'm talking about. It's the TV show Friends, and she's got this cupboard. She's a clean freak, but she's got a cupboard that's absolutely full to the brim with stuff. So it's a Monaco cupboard. Everybody's got one.
Yeah, and I've got plenty of them lying about and all the rest of it. The other day when I was cleaning at the garage, I actually came across the first 20 editions of Plug and Cheeky, which was two comics. You know, where DC Thompson brought out the Bar Street Plug is Bar Street Kids. You know, Plug was a character in the Bar Street Kids and the Beano, I think it was. And Cheeky was, you know, I'm not really sure where Cheeky came from, but it was like there was all different characters in there. Must Have a Million is, you know, a young Arabian prince called Must Have a Million.
Right. Okay. I've heard
it's one of the characters. So yeah, and I found all these things, and I thought to myself, that, to be honest, there's no value in them at all. It's this whole thing about next time this year we'll be millionaires. It's the people actually are convinced that the stuff that they've got will be worth an absolute fortune in years to come, and they've collected and collected and collected and kept a hold of it, and they just don't want to. I don't think we just don't, and we the collective, we as well, me included, we don't think we would want to get rid of it and admit the fact that it wasn't really worth it actually keeping a hold of it all these years. We'll hold on to it till literally we're probably gone, and our children have to then do something with it. So I'm not going to be that type of person. I'm probably going to get rid of all this stuff. I had it with, you know, East Fife you know, football programs. I posted them on the cup final and the semi final of the cup final of 1949. When they played Rangers, and then they played Dunfermline and beat them 3-0. Dunfermline obviously beat Rangers before, because that's how they got through the final. But I showed them, and somebody actually said, one of my friends actually said, "Oh, I collect them. Would you sell them?" And I went, "Oh, no." Because for me, it's nostalgia, and it's an emotional attachment. But I thought to myself, they're just going to sit in a drawer, and they're going to do nothing.
And if somebody's going to give you money for it, and they actually are a collector, then it makes sense for, they're going to have to look after them. So.
And I've kind of identified that years and years ago, because I do have a Matchbox Race and Chase set, and you know, you used to hit the top of the gun, and it would switch and go the other direction, so it would do a full, you know, handbrake turn. It'd do a handbrake return when it's going along the light scale electrics, and it would just do a handbrake turn and go the other way after that. So that's what that was for. And I stored it for years and years and years. And when we had the kids, I kind of thought to myself, this isn't going to be worth anything. I just better letting the kids play with it. It's like, just didn't be stupid, Jim. And they played with it all the time, and I've still got them. And now I'm waiting on my grandkids, Ben, Scott, and Tony. Hint.
Time sitting.
No pressure.
Okay, so, and then obviously the clutter, we could talk, like we say, we've done a whole show on that. The links in the post to the one we spoke about before, about organising clutter and making that space, because it make all the difference. But sometimes rooms, maybe the feedback rooms are too small, and that's something, you know, we get quite a lot of that. The room's too small. If it's maybe just a really small double, or even if it's that third bedroom's just not quite big enough. But
so I think the floor plan gives potential buyers an idea of your home's layout and size before they actually visit, which is quite good. But make sure when you're doing a floor plan that you get your agent to colorize the rooms, so people know straight away, because we all respond in different ways. And this is when I walked into, I think it was the Northeast Fife Community Hub. I walked into there, and there was different colours of lids on the toilets, and I'm like, what's all that about? And they says, well, actually, it's to do with people that are visually impaired or something like that. And they said having different colours on the toilets will actually make them respond better or understand what they're, you know, what, I don't know what it means, but there was some sort of reason behind it. Yeah. And then I thought about, that's when I caught on about the fact about floor plans being colorized. Some people actually don't really respond to floor plans if they're just black and white. Everybody responds to floor plans if they're colorized. So you have different colors for different rooms, and clearly blue is bathrooms or shower rooms or WCs. And then you've got the off yellow, and then you've got kind of brown for the bedrooms as well. And that makes a fundamental difference at a glance where people actually see it. But this is what I'm saying. But sometimes they see the layout and everything like that, and the presentation isn't right for viewings. But if your presentation is right for viewings and photographs, your rooms could look a lot smaller than they actually are when they turn up. So the floor plan looks wonderful, and the measurements look great as well when they measure it out. And then you get a tape measure and measure it in your own house and measure it, and you think to yourself, because this is what I used to do. And then you look at your own house and you look at one of your rooms and you say, yeah, that's about the size of this room. And then you work out what could I fit in there in terms of my existing furniture before you even actually go to visit the property, or after you've visited the property. But imagine turning up and seeing, and thinking that your rooms are too small because it's not been staged properly. So look around and look around your home and ask the following questions. Can buyers easily walk around? Clear sight lines to windows and fireplaces create a space for viewers to walk around easily without bumping into things or needing to squeeze past.
Yeah.
That's a really good one. There's often the one where they've got doors going into a dining room at the back, but they've got the sofa right against it.
Or stuff piled behind it.
And then people go, we'll just squeeze through here. And it's like, oh, no. Jeez, no. That's a no. Because that tells people straight away it's not really a usable door anymore. Because then they'll have to put their, and yet your suite is maybe a lot bigger than theirs, but it just might put them off. So this is why you speak to an estate agent first. Don't get rid of your sofa straight away, by the way. speak to an estate agent first and let them, let them tell you what to do about that. Walls overdressed is a really good one as well. Fewer pictures or a lighter paint colour can make them feel more expansive, while a mirror can add extra depth.
Yeah.
A mirror's always good, especially when you go to bathrooms and stuff like that, when the bathrooms are quite small and you see a big mirror, or even in the bedrooms where you see the mirror wardrobe and it's a bit tight, but then you look at the wardrobe and you think, actually, that looks quite big, that room. And yet, it's just because you're looking at the wardrobe.
You spoke about sight lines as well. And mirrors are good if you walk into the room, if you've got the mirror positioned on the wall, whereas it catches your eye and then takes you right out the window. And it reflects the light, and it also gives you that sight line, and it lets you look right outside as well. So you can position things in the right place to catch people's eye, and then create that sight line to the outside as well.
And I think as well, is there too much furniture in your house? That's because I touched on it the other night. Are the walls overdressed? By the way, don't take pictures of the walls if it's going to leave a big mark, because you've had them like that, unless you're going to paint it, because that doesn't look right. Just leave them on. You're probably better leaving them on than anything. But is there too much furniture? I mean, visible floor areas sells. So consider relocating an excess piece of furniture to another room, or giving it to a friend to babysit while you sell. That's really as simple as that. It's remarkable how few small changes can transform the feeling of your space in your home. And as soon as your work's done, ask your agent to take new photographs or a refresh campaign. That's what I would be doing, definitely. Because it's madness to think, if you're not getting people round, especially if you're struggling and you're getting viewers' feedback, which is quite negative, then you really need to have an honest appraisal of your house. If your house is a tip and your estate agent doesn't want to tell you, then you're going to have to take that on the chin and get them to tell you. And actually just say, look, whatever it is, because you'd be surprised. And we see it all the time, don't you? And you especially see it on the home location. Or no location. Sell it or list it. Live it or list it. Live it or list it is a really good one. Or when the house doctor used to go around and solve people's problems. But Phil Spencer used to do a similar format like that as well, where he would turn up when a property wasn't selling for quite a long time, and then he would give his honest appraisal. And what I always found funny, and I always used to chuckle at myself when he used to turn around the agent and go, "Why did you not tell them this?"
Yeah.
And then the agent would just go white and go, "I was scared to, in case I lost the listing." And it's like, if you're not going to tell them, you're going to lose the listing anyway, because it ain't going to sell anytime soon. And it's going to be a constant stressful situation between you and the seller. So just be honest with them. Here's my advice to estate agents out there, if that's the case. Then just say, this is the magic phrase you've got to say to your client. Anybody could say this, actually, if you've got to deliver bad news to someone, is, I've got to tell you something. Do you want me to go around the houses and sugarcoat it, or do you just want to give it to you straight? Now, most people will just say, give it to me straight. Just give it to me straight. And now you've got the permission. That's when you can do it. Whereas if you don't do that first, you'll be in danger of actually insulting.
There is always the risk of that. But if you're not going to be quite direct and frank with them about what needs to be done, and if you could see it for the beginning and you've not said it, when the property doesn't sell and it comes to light that that's the issue, the seller's going to be like, why did you not tell me that at the start? So
it can be quite frustrating for a seller, and it can be frustrating for a buyer as well, because a buyer often wants to get their message across, possibly because they're still trying to negotiate. But if you take it the wrong way from the buyer and actually don't realise that they're trying to negotiate, and that's why they're saying these negative comments, then you could often lose a sale as a result of that. So it's important to understand what somebody's saying to you and be able to read them as a result of that. That's why that's why estate agents should be constantly trained in these things and handling objections and being able to communicate with a customer. Communication techniques and everything else as well. Negotiation techniques is fundamentally the right thing to do, and also design and layout. And all these things are different skills that can be acquired over time, but you need to train in them. It just doesn't happen naturally. It's like when somebody says to, somebody that's been really successful, you've been an overnight success. It's like,
Been
no,
working for
it's taken me
20
about
years
20
before
years to
that.
get there. Yeah, it's and then they often wonder, how did that happen, and how did we get here? And then by that time they've made a decision and they're leaving. They're going to another agent, whether you like it or not. And it's the way it is. So be honest with them.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm actually sitting training estate agents on here. Should I be training other people's estate agents? Possibly not.
The likelihood is they'll probably not be watching us anyway. So
yeah. Morning, Andrea. Morning, Angela.
Yeah, morning, guys.
They're just watching it. Have you got any questions, anybody out there? Please feel free to ask at this point in time. We are actually talking about viewing feedback and how you can turn a negative comment or negative buyer's comment into a positive statement for the home saleability. This is talk about, Richard, about your home feels dark inside. What should we be? If your home feels dark inside, what should we be considering at this point in time? Then?
Yeah, well, we plug it all the time. Natural light is your definitely your friend. You can make it, capitalize on your property to make it so much better. Natural light makes your home feel fresh. It makes it, it has that positive feel about it. And any room can have its own character, its character brightened up by natural light. So if your buyers are saying, "Oh, it feels dark in here," check if you could change it by implementing a few things or changing a few things to lighten up the mood in a room. So, are your windows clean? I was talking about this the other day. Are your windows clean? Are they actually clean, gleaming, so you can see in and see out? Even a dust in or dirt can really deplete the daylight coming through into your room.
Yeah.
So keep your panes of glass sparkling clean, even if you need to clean them on a weekly basis. If it's going to help buyers see the potential and sell your property, it's worth the time. Then draw back your curtains and keep your blinds open to expose the glass while viewers are going to be in the property. So you can see inside and the lights coming. So you can see outside and the lights coming inside. So important. Natural light. Make the most of it. Do you have a lot of dark fabrics and furniture and things in your property? Consider maybe accessorizing them. You could get a nice bright throw to put over a or maybe cushions to bring it up, that deep tone sofa, or plain or light coloured rugs. I was speaking about this the other day as well. Light coloured rugs, and have a big rug and on the floor in the space, but make sure it's a nice bright neutral coloured rug. Don't get a dark one, or if you've got patterned floors, a light rug will break that up and brighten up as well.
Yeah. We talked about this the other day as well, about mirrors.
Yeah.
And how important that is. And we touched on it when we were talking about the bedrooms and stuff like that as well. But how important is mirrors when it comes, especially when it comes to having a dark home? Is it essential that you should use them?
Mirrors are a great way to use light and really amplify the natural brightness, with mirrors reflecting the view from the sky outside and shining, obviously, the accessories and things on the inside. If you've got maybe like some vintage ceramics or mid-century things, or plastics to bounce the light around the room. If you position that mirror correctly to the view outside and the light coming in and then reflecting within the room, you could really brighten the entire room. So, and none of these things are really that costly. These are all things that you could do relatively inexpensively and will pay dividends in the end, because they'll create that feeling of light, a natural light in the property, which will then positively influence your buyers.
And possibly, you'll get the price that you're actually you're hoping for. I mean, in this type of market just now, where Nationwide actually just said this morning on their press release that according to Nationwide, house prices have moved up, ever so slightly. So it started to recover again. But I think the biggest challenge is the oversupply of stock in the market just now. There's a huge amount. I mean, there's more houses sold since the beginning of the year up till now than there was in 2023. But there's more houses actually come on as a result. So there is more buyers out there, but there's more choice. So when I said more buyers, I mean there's more buyers for these properties, but not more buyers as in there's an abundance of people looking, as opposed to the audience that we had last year or the year before in the boom times. There's significantly more in the boom times than there was now because buyer affordability has actually dropped as a natural result, due to the fact that, you know, house prices are actually moving up over time and affordability levels moving up 60% since 2021 in terms of mortgage costs. So these are all different things that people have to consider about, and that's why you have to be pretty savvy when it comes to your pricing and also your staging your property when you go to market or you're considering going to market. That's why you need to get someone out to talk about that. But we've got a bigger or brighter blog on here to talk that through and how to make your home brighter and spacious as a result of that. So you can click on this link anytime you want. It'll go through there to the article and you'll be able to see the blog from that. We did a similar type of show format to here, or podcast as well, so you could listen to it at your own leisure.
You know, that's a good thing, because if we do all these shows, and as we talk about certain topics, obviously we don't have enough time to go into everything in so much detail, but we've actually done other shows that kind of break it down a lot more, and we go into a lot more detail. Just like the decluttering one, we've got the bigger and brighter blog, so the links to that are in there.
I think like anything, knowledge is knowledge power? I don't think it's power is the word we should be using. Knowledge is expertise and skill acquisition, which allows you to make better decisions. I think that's the most important thing. And having that knowledge and that expertise and that skill will allow you to possibly get better results as well. And it could be in the difference for an extra £5,000.
Yeah.
You know, and the price of your property at the end, because you've learned what you need to do, and you've also learned when you need to shut up.
Yeah, and just for having that knowledge and knowing where to apply it and how to apply it correctly. Do you, like you say, Jim, it could add £5,000-10,000 to somebody's offer, and that's a lot of money to people, and that extra value is where a really skilled negotiator and agent comes in.
I've got to say, as a buyer and investor, I love it when I walk into a house in the past, and where I just stay quiet, and the seller does all the talking for me. And then what happens if you just nudge them in the right direction? Then what happens is the seller then begins to give you indications of possibilities of negotiating on the offer and the price, because they feel apologetic for all the problems that were wrong with their house, which you don't see, by the way.
Yeah.
But
everybody picks out their own bits about their property.
Honestly, when I went round, it's like I went round, you know, I remember putting an offer on a house and I said, look, I'm thinking about this ballpark figure. I hadn't even viewed it yet. And they went, well, that kind of works for me. And that was lower than what they were asking for. So that was even on the telephone. I managed to get them down. Then when I got in the door, then I kept quiet. I used my skill. I used my negotiation, my expertise, and I didn't do much talking in that aspect. That's changed days now, eh? Don't do much talking. I didn't do much talking, and I skillfully negotiated it through and took them through the journey and they were the sellers and I was the buyer, effectively. And by the time I got to the end of it, they were so apologetic about the heating system, they took another £2,000 off. I'm like, what? I went, okay then. And it's like, I ended up getting thousands off of this. And I don't think, as a buyer, as I've been an investor and a buyer for 30 years and having a big portfolio, I don't think a lot of people actually realise as a seller how lack of skill and expertise they have and be able to negotiate. They all think they're going to be great at it, but they don't realise what's coming when I walk in the door as a buyer.
And it's amazing how you could watch somebody talk themselves round in a full circle without
Absolutely.
you saying, yeah.
Absolutely. And understanding that process and how that happens is how you become an expert in selling property as well, because you understand exactly what the buyer's doing right in front of you. And this is why we take our own estate agents around to do the negotiation and the viewings as well, for that very reason. That's why you want your estate agent to do it, because if they've got the skill and expertise, they'll know what the buyer's trying to do at that point in time. If they've been in the property business for, 30, 40 years, then they'll know exactly what they're doing. And I've got to be honest, that then takes really probably somebody with a bit more maturity, because that's the skill and expertise they've acquired over time. So age has a lot of, benefits on its side. But also, if somebody's a bit younger, It's what they've learned and what they're still continuing to learn through their continuous education. So when you're sitting in front of an estate agent, it's younger and they're doing a pitch to you, what you need to ascertain at this point in time is what skill and expertise have they acquired over the short period of time they've been an estate agent, rather than actually just thinking how many properties they actually sell. Because that's no the questions you'd be asking to get the right answer.
You could get, yeah.
And the other one as well is, how much on average do you achieve over the home report value for properties like this in this area?
Yeah.
Because that's what you benchmark against another estate agent. You don't just say, oh, I just like them or I don't like them, and that's it. You know, I mean, I have a car and it's not the exact car I would ever want, but it gets me from A to B, but I still use it.
Yeah.
Because it does the job.
That's the job, yeah.
So that's what the most important thing is to me about in an estate agent and the quality is, what results do you get, and tell me the stories that will reconfirm that. And effectively it's just like an interview. You're sitting in front of that person and you're interviewing them to basically take care of selling your biggest tax-free asset you'll ever have.
Yeah.
That's frightening to think that some people just go, I'll just go for the person with the cheapest fee.
Yeah.
My God. Words. I'm not really sure what to say after that, but that's effectively what some people's strategy is. I just go for the cheapest fee. Well, they seem like the same people. They're both estate agents. Okay, but one has a different track record from the other. But you don't know the questions to ask in order to ascertain that. And that's why you should be listening to shows like this more than likely. That's why you should be listening and you should be learning, and you should be going into Google and saying, what are the questions I should be asking my estate agent when they come round to do a valuation of my house? What should I really ask them? Not the first question in everybody's mind is, what's your fees?
Yeah, that's the track record. How long you've been doing this? What, like you say, Jim, what percentage are you getting over and above the home report compared to everyone else? Do you know?
Well, in a £400,000 house, if I've got a track record of getting 2% more than everybody else, then it's £8,000. It's paid for everybody's fees. They've got everybody for nothing. Just with getting the right estate agent. What happens when you get the wrong one? You're not just losing £8,000.
Yep, costly mistake.
I know, I've seen it before, and I've been on the other side because I've been a buyer, and I've seen how poor that negotiation. Well, I wouldn't call it negotiation. I've seen how poor that trying to stave me off and negotiating them into a corner has been from the person that's representing them. It's shocking. But then that's why I do what I do. That's why I love what I do. Because some people actually understand that completely. Not everybody does, and that's fine. I'm okay with that, because there's only a certain amount of people I can deal with every single year, and I'm happy to do that for them and take them on that journey and get the result they wanted, and possibly more. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. It's the result that counts.
Yeah.
Because the result could be thousands more, whereas the extra you pay on the fee could be a couple of hundred more.
Definitely. So with viewer feedback and things, Jim, what about, now we get this quite a lot, if buyers say there's too much work at the property. Now this is something we get. It's too much work, it's not for me, or it's too much work.
I'm doing this all the time,
or it's too much work, and they try and drive down the offer.
Ellis Place, classic example, in Cellardyke, came along to me, and the person walked in the door, and I always remember this story because it was a really good one. And I'm obviously an investor, and I've refurbed loads and loads of houses that I've got in my stock. So I understand the pricing strategy and how much it costs to do everything and anything. We've got from the top end of the kitchen to the bargain basement kitchen fit, and in terms of bathrooms and kitchens and decorating and carpeting and rewiring and plumbing and electrics and all the rest of it. So I understand all the price points and what it costs, and the team understand that as well, because they get the knowledge and expertise from me as well.
Yeah.
But I remember Ellis Place, and the person walked in the door, and after going round, it was a really nice house, 3-bedroom townhouse actually, and it had a garden, but that's immaterial. We're getting into semantics here and detail. That's me all over. But we're going around the house. We got to the end of this, and the key story here was the person said, "Oh, there's too much work, far too much work." All right, okay. I don't see that really. This is how I was speaking to him. I don't see that really. However, I know you probably have your personal tastes.
Yeah.
What are you thinking you're wanting to do then? I mean, how much do you think it'll cost? He said, oh, it's going to cost about £50,000 to do what I'm wanting to do. Okay, so what are you wanting to do? Is it stuff that you want to do to possibly enhance what you've got already? Or is it stuff you want to do to replace what you've got already? Because replacement is actually adding no value. Enhancing is adding value. So
Yeah.
therefore, if you're adding as a seller, as a buyer, and making an offer to a seller and trying to get that off in the price, well, that's no right at the end of the day, because you're actually, it's your own personal taste, and the seller shouldn't be paying for your personal tastes, because that's you. Whereas if it's having to replace and it's because something's wrong and it's not really adding any value, then there's a different story here. But they said it's going to cost £50,000. Back to the story. Okay, so take me through the £50,000 where you want to spend that in, and I'll give you a good idea about, you know, if that is possible. Now, the reason I said if that is possible, because I didn't want to say if that's just a lot of rubbish. If that is possible for you, so helpful. So they went through and they went, okay, bathroom downstairs. I'll need to redo the whole lot of that. Okay, so what are you thinking? Completely rip it out. It didn't need it. And then replace it with a new bathroom suite. How much is it going to cost for that? And he says, well, it's going to be about 10 grand. Okay, so there's 10 grand. And then we got to the kitchen. Says, what about the kitchen? Oh, we need to do something with that. I need to replace that as well. So how much is the kitchen going to cost? And they went, 15 grand. 15 grand for a kitchen. Is it gold plated? However, I just went, yeah, okay, 15 grand for your kitchen. So we're at 25 already. And I said, so what else? Well, windows. Now, to be honest, there's nothing wrong with the windows, but windows. So how much do you think that's going to, oh, it's going to cost 15 grand. Okay, so we've got 10 grand left in the budget after this. And then they went on, so what else have you got to do? Well, decoration, probably a bit of wiring, rewiring, and maybe have to replace the boiler. So it's probably going to eat into another £10,000. And I went, okay, all right, okay. So that's, you know, that's, yeah, okay. That's yeah, I know. That's quite a lot of money. That's quite a lot of money. I completely understand where you're coming from. However, I could probably do that for about 25 myself personally, because I'm an investor and a landlord, and I have been for 30 years. So I could do this for 25, and I'll show you exactly where I can do it. And I went round and I showed them exactly what I could do for 25, and it was more or less what they had actually been saying. And I says, I know the pricing anyway. And I finished it off by saying, I tell you what though, if you want to buy the house and you negotiate the right price and they offer you it, I'd be more than happy to do the job for you for £50,000 if you like.
What was the response to that?
Well, they knew they were talking rubbish, and it was 25,000 to refurb it. They were just chancing it. So I took away their objection straight away.
Yeah, that's a good way
of doing that. And they bought the house.
Yeah, even when you started, did they say 10 grand for a bathroom?
Yeah. So what, you putting gold plated taps on?
Some bathroom at 10 grand anyway.
Yeah, but that's the point. It's all about being able to handle objections, and it takes a lot of skill and expertise to be an estate agent over the years and understand what that costs. And that's what you pay for when you buy an estate agent services. That's what you pay for when you get them to do the viewings. You don't pay for somebody just to open a door. You don't pay for somebody just to pass on an offer to you.
No,
that's not what you're paying for. You're paying for somebody that's going to fight tooth and nail to get the best price for you and actually be able to have the skill and expertise to do that. You're paying for it. So you're not paying by the hour. You're paying for skill and expertise. This is where the groups, I'm sure it's 50. I'm sure it's 50-50. 50% understand that proposition and understand you can get far more money with a skilled estate agent than the fee would offset. But 50% are like, what is the lowest fee? The broke mentality approach.
Yeah.
Just give me the lowest fee. It's like, okay, lowest fee then is just go to Yopa. It's like, see how you get on with that. Because
the same thing.
They all put them on the website. So just go to the cheapest estate agent going. Just go to the cheapest person. And then see what you're going to get. But then some people accept that and that's what they want to do. But skill and expertise will do it. So here's when we come back, when the buyer says, I think there's too much to do. I mean, many buyers love the idea of buying a fixer-upper or bagging a bargain. But if you're not marketing your home at a cut price project, there could be some things you need to attend to. decorate all the dried out stains and historic leaks. I see it quite a lot where it's like you look up at the ceiling and go, what happened there? Oh, that's been there for years and all the rest of it. I says, well, you probably need to paint the ceiling because it doesn't look great. And if somebody looks up there, they're going to think there's something wrong, and possibly even maybe there's damage to the joists in between the flooring. So you're better to actually sort that problem out. You might have forgotten long ago, and the buyers will notice immediately, you know, as I said, when they look through and they look at it. Overgrown gardens can be overwhelming, but bare ones can feel full of potential. So trim, and really hedges and brambles. Brambles take off at this season, don't they? And the hedging as well. Everything just goes, and the grass just starts to grow like
it happens overnight.
Rate. And remove any junk to create a clear and blank canvas in your garden areas. If you've got old garden furniture, for God's sake, either paint it or get rid of it. It's probably going to do more damage because people are going to say, I'm not going to sit down there. And if you're going to get new garden furniture for your next house, then just buy it now and put it out the back and stage your garden and make it look really nice. One of the things that comes up in a surveyor's report quite a lot is slipped roof tiles sitting in the gutter, dodgy gutters, cracked rendering, broken pointing. They're all off-putting, but relatively easy to fix. And they'll elevate your curb appeal no end. Now, usually buyers actually will see decoration and modernisation as an opportunity to inject their style and add value, while repairs are viewed typically as an expense and a possible minefield. So make those your priority. That's the most important thing. And get the right person. Now, if you get in a staging round that tells you the right helpful advice, it's probably the estate agent you should be using. The last thing you want to do is actually, you get in a staging round, tell you, and they're basically giving you your service for free, and they're telling you all these add-in values that you could be getting. Then all of a sudden, you just go for the person with the cheapest fee. How insulting is that to the estate agent that's actually helped you, because they've helped you save an absolute fortune already, more than what their fee's even going to be charging. And then you go for the cheapest fee. Some people actually do that.
I know.
Imagine if you did that. Imagine if you did that with them at their work. Do you think they would be nice? Do you think they would like that?
Definitely not.
No, definitely not. So get the estate agent that's been most helpful to you and actually added significant value in the process. And that's the one possibly to use, irrespective of your fee, I would say. Or that's how I would approach it. That's how I look at it. It's not anything to do with the fee. It's everything to do with what added value they can get for me, because the thousands at the end way offsets anything to do with the fees and probably wipes out the fees completely in the beginning. So you're literally getting that person for nothing, and you're possibly getting cash back in the exercise. So final thoughts on this, Richard?
I think, like you say, Jim, it's all about getting the right agent with the right expertise and is going to have the right marketing strategy and present the property correctly. But with the viewing feedback, no matter, you're always going to have negative feedback one way or another. It's how you deal with it and how you turn it around into the positive, like we've covered today. And if you've got a good skilled agent, they'll know how to do that.
Perfect. I just want to say I've got a golden ticket.
I'm booked on the train tomorrow.
I'm going on the Leamouth Rail Link today.
Are you going today?
No, I was actually thinking about this. Do you know Charlie in the Chocolate Factory when he finds the golden ticket?
Yeah.
I now know the feeling.
That'll be good.
Literally, I was asked at the last minute. It was like, because he'd left it too late, and he said, "Look," Ken said, "Look, Jim, you need to be on the train on Saturday today."
I did wonder, Jim. I was wondered because I hadn't seen it, and I thought, how was Jim not on the train? Because obviously you've done a lot of help and things, obviously, over the last few years with the train link and everything. But I'm with the general public tomorrow. I've booked tickets in the afternoon to go.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. The 10:30, the festivities start, or whatever it is, their celebrations, and then we're away at 11:40. We're departing for Edinburgh Waverley, and when we get to Edinburgh, I'm actually not going back. I'm going straight to the Playhouse to watch Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, because I've got that booked already. So I will be one of the first people, if not the first person, to actually physically get the train to go to Edinburgh to an event.
Yeah.
and not just for the back and forward.
The back and forward, yeah.
I'm quite proud of that.
That's good. No.
The fact that we've been one of the first to do that. I'm really looking forward to it. The train is going to be a huge benefit to especially the Leadmouth community, and also the wider place, in order to get access into the East Neuk as well, and then the surrounding areas up into Kennoway and Windigates, especially at Cameron Bridge. So definitely, I think that's going to be a big plus point. I think prices of property over the next 10 years in the Leadmouth area will go a lot higher, and you will see them coming to probably an equilibrium, depending on who's coming to move in there. Because remember, if you're going to attract people from Edinburgh, and they're going to think to themselves about price point, they're going to think, wait a minute, I can have that at 425,000, and I'm living in a two-bedroom flat in a converted building at the same price, and I could have that for 425 grand, a 6-bedroom property. And then it's going to be close proximity to everything else, all the amenities and the beach and everything like that, and the golf courses and the lifestyle. And it's not going to be as hectic. And they're going to be able to have pets, and they're going to be able to let their cats out, so they're not really a main road and stuff like that. And then affordability is going to be a lot less as well. They're going to be able to have more money to invest and spend, and actually have a better quality lifestyle for them and their family. That's what I think ultimately the train station is going to have a benefit for, and as well as bringing in tourism. Now, the key here is when you see people like McDonald's and Starbucks and Costa opening in your area prior to these events happening, you know fine that they know something that you don't know, because they spend millions upon millions of pounds understanding trends and analytics for people and people's habits in order to ascertain whether they should open in an area or not. And that tells you straight away the strength of their conviction in opening here. There's better things to come.
Yeah,
definitely.
The future is
okay. I'm off. I'm off. See you later. Okay. Bye-bye, everybody. And have a fantastic weekend. The sun is shining. If anybody's not going to Edinburgh on the train, then East Neuk Market's on today and tomorrow on the front of the harbour. The Anshaw Harbour Festival is actually opening up their East Neuk Market. This is a first for them to do that. So the Muffin Man, and there's cocktail places, and Alice's Kitchen from Creel's going to be there with cordials. There's going to be lots of things on there. I've posted a video on my personal page. I've shared it to their community pages. So hopefully they're going to have a huge success and get a lot of business in and tourism in as well. And until next time, guys, it's bye-bye from us. And as I said, have a fantastic weekend. Bye-bye for now.